regularly scheduled CRA meeting. And I think our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. We'd ask everyone to please stand up and face the flag. We do roll call first? No, we do Pledge of Allegiance first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we continue with roll call.
Board Member Galvin?
Here.
Board Member Keys?
Here.
Board Member Desume?
You know
Board
what?
Member Bien-Aimé?
I don't have an agenda.
Chairman Joseph?
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Is this the old, that's, thank you. Do you not have one either? Oh. What happened? No, I have the book, but no agenda in it. Okay. Pledge allegiance comes before roll call. Okay, now we need a motion to approve the minutes of the April 25th and May 22nd.
I'll make the motion to approve both of those minutes.
Second.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to move the approval of the minutes. That motion was seconded by Board Member Bien-Aimé. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 4-0.
Now, the items for review and to take any action, but how come in CRA we never give reasonable time for people to be heard? Is that, we do that toward the end? Okay. We don't have that in the.
And you also take public hearing for each of the items individually.
Yeah. But reasonable time to be heard is for anything unrelated to the agenda. It doesn't have to be, but nevertheless. Item 1, Madam.
A resolution of the chairman and board member of the City of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving and adopting the Standard Operating Procedures Manual and providing an effective date.
Good evening, Rasha Kamo, staff. Before you is the Standard Operating Procedures Manual for the North Miami CRA. This manual is to be used by staff to properly operate the agency as per state, county, and city codes. It provides a historical perspective for new staff, new members, specific state statutes and requirements to follow, operational guidance, and monitoring of grants. Staff recommends approval of this Standard Operating Procedures Manual. This was presented to the Advisory Committee on Monday, June 5th, and they voted unanimously to recommend the approval of the new SOP for the CRA. And I'd like to make a comment and mention that the staff that worked hard on it is my aide, Noah Jacobs, and Miss Gail McDonald, who disappeared. But we worked tirelessly to create the Standard Operating Procedures Manual to make sure that we have something that anybody who comes in and to run the CRA, they can step in effortlessly and continue the programs.
And Mr. Chair, if you allow me to piggyback on that, I got a lot of positive feedback from all of the advisory board members with the same comment. So I will add Rasha to that recognition because she got this done in 60 days. So a lot of hard work from staff.
I'm gonna now, one recommendation that I would have, I don't know if you would agree, that all the appointed board members become very, 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 not us, but the appointed advisory board members. Well, us too, I guess. Become very, very, very familiar with every lines and commas and dots and so in this, because this is a very thorough document, and I really commend you for that. I mean, had I had this when I first started on the dais, I think I probably would be a much better chairman than I am now. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Any other comments? If not, we need approval. We need a motion
Move
to approve.
approval.
Second.
I have a motion made by Board Member Keys to approve item number 1. That motion was seconded by Board Member Bien-Aimé. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 4-0. Item number 2, a resolution of the chairman and board member of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving and adopting the NMCRA Event and Enhancing City Events Grant Guideline, Event and Promotion Assistance Program, Grant Opening, Reopening Grants Program, Commercial Grant Guideline, and Tax Increment Recapture and Infrastructure Grant Program, and providing an effective date.
Again, part of our assignment with those 60 days requirement was for us to review and evaluate and to, one, clean up the current guidelines that we had and try to make it more user-friendly and to make it more appropriate with the current cost of construction and the projects and the needs of the businesses and the developers. So before you, you have the commercial grants guideline. We've updated the first one, which was the beautification and enhancement grant. It was originally for $15,000. We are proposing to increase it to $25,000 to allow for proper improvements. As you recall, most of the time I have to always ask you to waive that amount to a higher amount, to $20,000 to $25,000. The rehabilitation grant, we're recommending to increase it from $80,000 to $100,000 with the same 50-50 match requirement. Again, that was just to, one, because of the cost of construction, and also to help clarify some of the terms for the agreements, their obligations, and how to process and monitor their grants after the fact. We propose to create a new grant program, the Business Attraction and Expansion Grant. This is for new businesses moving into the CRA or an existing business wishing to expand space because they are at capacity. We are recommending at $150,000 with a 50% match. This allows for partial rent reimbursement during renovations not to exceed 6 months, purchase of a large fixed equipment, and some impact fee related to the change of use. This will allow us again to attract more restaurants, cafes, breweries, those type of businesses that we don't have now along the corridor. Based on our experience, whenever you're changing from a retail to a restaurant, there's always an astronomical cost for impact fees from the county, and also with the permitting process and so on. So we want to make sure that if this business is moving in and they're making that investment and we're making that investment, the eligible uses are appropriate to make sure that this project is successful. Lastly, the capacity building and retention grant. This is for existing mom and pop businesses that need technical assistance, training, purchase of a large equipment to enhance their business. It's not to exceed $7,500. This is to help these existing mom and pop businesses. They've been in our community for at least 1 year. They have no more than 5 employees. They're not part of a franchise or anything like that, but they need that extra training or technical assistance to help their business get to the next level so they can benefit from the redevelopment. The other item is events and promotions assistance. This is from the downtown marketing and branding plan. It's also mentioned in our CRA plan. This is for us to help the downtown corridor activate events. This is for the Nomad members, members of the chamber.
I'm sorry, is there any reason you didn't state the amount that you just mentioned
For 75.
for the
It is in the application itself. It's in the guidelines that is attached. It's in my cover memo. I just didn't put the amount of
Okay.
7,500, but it is in the guidelines that you
Oh,
have in your
okay.
hand
All right,
under commercial guidelines.
thank you.
Okay. Events and promotions assistance. It's a not to exceed $1,000 and it's a 50-50 match, so it's up to $1,000. This is again to help the Nomad members of the chamber that are along the downtown corridor that we are trying to activate. And this is to create not only a set of guidelines, but it's a way to not properly evaluate if the event was successful, if we should continue funding it, and to make sure that we are properly being credited for the work that we do. The Grand Opening and Reopening Grants Program, again, another initiative that came out of the marketing and branding plan. It's to be able to reward the grantee who has successfully completed, be able to tell the world that, the North Miami Sierra downtown Nomi has a new business opening, press conference, ribbon cutting, and so on and so forth. So that's what it covers. The North Miami CRA and Enhancing City Events Assistance Program. Again, there's some city events that the CRA is helping to enhance. Currently, the Mayor's Quarterly Luncheon is one of them. The Jazz at Mocha, we are now working with the Mocha staff to work on that, but it's not to supplant what the city is doing at these events. It's to help enhance it, to make it bigger, and to attract more people, again, to showcase what the CRA is doing and what is happening in downtown Nomi. And finally, the Tax Increment Recapture and an Infrastructure Grant Program. This is for large-scale developments. Anyone wishing to ask for tax increment recapture funds or infrastructure grant funds for large-scale development, they will have to follow the guidelines. It states that it's between 25% to up to 50% of the new net tax revenues projected they can apply for, and they would have to come to the board, present an application, the plan, the project, and essentially this is a reservation of future tax revenues. If they don't meet certain benchmarks as stated in the guidelines, such as having an approved concept plan, site plan within a year, and a building permit within 2 years, then they lose that opportunity for that reservation, and it'd have to come back. So these are all the guidelines that we have created. Staff recommends approval of these grant guidelines. Again, this item was presented to the advisory committee on June 5th, and they voted unanimously to recommend approval.
Question?
Go ahead.
Two questions on the grand opening, reopening grant. We're just giving up $5,000 for a new business. Now, number one, that's only for some grant that we have given, correct?
Yes, it's actually not 5,000, it's up to 5,000. It's 2.5% of the grant that they had received, up to 5,000.
Since our grants are like 100,000 and the new grants are 150,000, that would be 2,500 to 3,750.
Which would be appropriate, like the Captain Jim's was $2,300, as I reminded you, and they did a 2-day ribbon cutting event. They had a day for media.
So I think 5,000 doesn't work based on our guidelines.
Meaning,
Well, if you
Too
have a
high
two
or
and a
too
half,
low?
too high, because if we have a 2.5% grant, we've given someone $100,000. I mean, $100,000. That would be 2,500. If we go with the 150,000 grant, that would be 3,750, and now you're saying up to 5,000.
yeah,
So I
we're
think
capping it at 5,000. Even
We
if we were to waive, because we found this great business coming in, and we're giving them 500,000, we're capping the grand opening ceremony to 5,000. No more than that.
seems like a lot of money.
I'll make a motion to amend to $3,700.
To cap it at 37.
Capped at $3,700.
Thank you, Council Board Member. And one other question. Oops.
Thank you.
Well, it's
What was
up
the
to,
exact-
but it's 2.5% with a cap.
I'll
Whatever.
revise my motion for the record to
3,750.
make a cap for $3,750.
And thank you.
Wow. Just,
Oh, I'd second
just for
that
50
motion.
bucks?
I'm trying to
It's a
move,
numbers thing.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to move the meeting.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah.
I'll be very quick. On this increment recapture, on, the businesses are getting a discount or a rebate of their tax increment?
It's not really, it wouldn't really be a business, it would be a developer.
A developer? So
Yes.
what, they're getting tax,
So
50% of
essentially,
the taxes back, or?
well, we don't, we're not, technically we're not supposed to say you get your taxes back, but essentially, it's the TIF.
So so we're not charging them that?
No, no. They pay their taxes. We're giving them a TIF, forward TIF rebate.
Mr.
Microphone.
Spring, your microphone. Make sure you just pull it down.
Sorry.
We're talking to each other, but we gotta remember.
So it's a tax increment recapture.
Mhm.
So they
Correct.
get to recapture some of their TIF back up to 50%. Is that a one-time recapture? Is that annual, or? Because it's not really clear to me.
It would be over a period of time.
As negotiated by the city manager, the attorney, and the board.
Does this say that? Is this
It's a
clear on
not
that?
to exceed the expiration of the CRA's timeframe, and it doesn't, you can set either 5, 10, or 15 years as the manager negotiates.
So, as an example, in the Overtown actually in Omni CRAs. What's this project? World Center, Miami World Center. What they did with the developer is they said, we're going to give you starting up to 50% of the TIF that you create by virtue of the new structure that you're building. Now they also put and this is something that we would negotiate, they put a floor value. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to give you this amount of money if you finish a building. You have to actually create the revenue stream, and then we will give back the TIF, a portion of the TIF. The reason why we're capping it, and we started at 25%, is because generally for a lot of our developments, we're only getting net 50% anyways.
Right.
So we need to keep it, kind of below that number. It would have to be an extreme valuable and contributing development, not just tax value, but also look at other community benefits, job creation, amenities to the city, all of those
That's for 15
things.
years?
So it could be a 15-year deal, it could be a 10-year deal, it could be a 5-year deal. It just depends on, bless you.
Thank you.
Just depends on the guidance that you guys give me and the directive that you give me. But typically what I've seen them for the life of the CRA, and I've seen them for shorter periods. I've seen them for 15 years. 15-year stints, 20-year stints, depending on the development.
Do we have any guidelines as to how we give somebody 15%? And do they have to maybe operate it, or if they sell it, they lose it, or anything like that?
Typically, the agreement could have all kinds of conditions put in it. For example, if they transfer the property.
But we have no guidelines, we just make it up as we go?
Well, I think that there's sort of other models that we would follow, as your executive directors indicated in the city of Miami CRAs. I've done them in Hallandale Beach. There's one with Gulfstream, where TIF goes back to Gulfstream every year for the life of the CRA. I mean, that's obviously a major project, and that was a big factor in them developing that project. Now, does it hamper the budget to the $2.5 million a year? Yes, it does, but it generates more TIF than that every year. It's double. So
I
it's
would,
million
I would
dollars.
like to see some guidelines. I mean, this is okay, but I'd like to see us implement some guidelines so we just don't go crazy. And if if someone goes out of business, who gets the benefit of that TIF? And I mean,
So-
there just needs to be guidelines.
So what I would then ask is, well, in your consideration for tonight's item, come back to you guys with maybe some sample structures, because you want to have some negotiating flexibility, because in one instance you may demand that the job creation is X. In another situation you may say the value is the impetus for that grant. It may be another situation, take even a Solomia. You got to deliver a park, you got to do streets, you got to do infrastructure, you got to do all these other things. And so having some level of flexibility on what it is, but we can certainly bring back like some maybe key or standard
And
negotiating points that
Please, and who grants these TIF recaptures? Is it up to the board, or is it up to the?
No, you would approve every single
all-
one.
all this
So
needs to be put
they
in.
would come, all of the entire TIF agreement would come back to the board for full approval. So you would get an opportunity to literally say, no, I want more of this, I want less of that, I want this, I want that.
Well, we have a wonderful director right now, but things change, and I want to protect the CRA going forward for the next 30 years
I
and
got you.
not get into trouble.
I got you.
A wonderful director.
Wonderful.
Mr. Chair, and as far as the requirements for whether it's the beautification or the commercial, you said that they need to either they own or they lease, or they need to provide showing intent to purchase or lease related to the property in the CRA. And you won't release any money until the lease is fully executed.
Yes, until
Okay.
they provide us with the executed lease.
After they get approval. Okay. And when it comes to the rehabilitation grant, you said no new roof installation.
That was part of the original grant guidelines, where they don't do any new construction, no full roof. We rehab, again, it's a rehabilitation grant. We don't do new construction. projects.
But that doesn't mean, besides the rehabilitation grant, you don't provide any grant for new roof, no?
Well, I mean,
Do-
we can waive it if an item comes up, I
Huh?
assume. But,
When you're talking about the rehabilitation, you're talking about residential.
no,
No,
this is
No,
all
commercial.
It's
commercial.
commercial.
This is
All commercial.
Okay.
There's no residential in here.
You said no new construction, no new roof. That's when it doesn't apply to any new constructions.
Then, I guess, then you would get into the business.
That's why the
The-
requirement for rehabilitation
For
grant.
commercial, the existing grant guidelines and the new grant guidelines. So if you have like a property and you wanna add another 1,500 square feet to it, we
Mhm.
don't pay for the addition because that's new construction, new foundation, new roof. As per that's what you've always had in your original guidelines.
It's just purely a policy decision for the board. The grant is a rehabilitation grant to basically fix properties that are in disrepair and need help. Now, I think are there roof repairs that are permitted?
Yes.
If you need to have your roof repaired, but if you just wanna get a new roof, it doesn't allow you to just take off the old roof and put a new one on. But if your roof is leaking, you can use this grant to
To
fix it.
repair it as a business. But this
Okay,
is not for
one-
residential.
To what, I'm sorry, you finished?
And my last question, all those commercial grants apply to tenant and,
Yes.
and
It's for the
landlord?
business and the building.
Okay. The same requirements apply to both?
It would, actually, as a building owner, if you're applying, you have a requirement where you have to fill in with new business or new tenants within a certain number of days, like within 90 days after you've completed the renovation, you need to already have a lease, you need to already have a new tenant moving in. As a business, obviously, once you're done doing the renovation, you're required to be open within 30 days with your CU and your BTR and doing business. But yes, all of these eligible uses are applicable to the property owner and to the business.
Well, to what point do you consider a renovation either a necessity versus luxurious or superfluous, I should say?
That's a tough one.
Hmm?
That's because you could have a rehab that is cosmetic in nature,
Mhm.
and the business owner is doing it to attract a better, higher level or more clientele.
Mhm.
I'll use you for instance. You recently redid your lobby at your office.
Yeah.
And
On
it was
my
cos-
own.
Yeah, on your own, but it was cosmetic in nature to present a better, more comfortable environment for your patients. So it's kind of like, yeah, we may want to do rehab where a person might want to put in more high-end countertops and better fixtures in order to
Better furniture.
better furniture. To
What about
attract-
what about
well,
choosing
equipment,
furnitures that
equipment,
are like
equipment.
from Office
Equipment.
Depot as opposed to from Hitachi in
equipment?
Japan?
Cover furniture.
Well,
Huh?
equipment. It would be equipment.
Mhm.
And remember, we look at the bids and all of that stuff. So we go through a process where we evaluate the prices of what you're getting, and we try to hone our grantees to the best value, if you will. 3 bids, so on and so forth.
Okay, but well, if they present a proposal where they spending like let's say $10,000 on a couch, for example, so would you automatically
That would not be an
go with that?
allowable expenditure.
We don't cover
Well,
furniture.
just an example. Any other piece of item
$10,000
that we-
counter,
Countertop.
$10,000 countertop.
as opposed into something that they could find the same thing to serve the same purpose, that would probably cost $2,000. Would we?
I mean, we'll have some project managers and estimators to kind of help us evaluate those
Mhm.
bids, and in those situations, that person that works for us can say, hey, by the way, you can get this fabricated at blah 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 place
Mhm.
for 2,000 as opposed to 10,000. So that'll be kind of technical advice we would get, but to just say, oh, you can't have a granite versus a Formica, what is the purpose of the?
Okay, if you
what is
can
the
get
purpose?
Formica, we can help you. If you want granite, you get it by yourself.
I mean, that's a
No?
policy. I think that'll be too
No?
too rich. I would say it'd be too rigid or too restricted.
But isn't like that in the home beautification program, even the odd
On the city
CDBG,
side,
Mm.
yeah, there's a certain level of fixtures that on our home side, but then remember, we have a mixture of our guidelines and federal guidelines that we kind of follow on that side. So, and when you do get upgraded appliances and things of that nature, you're paying the difference in
Because
that case.
because it's a very germane issue, because if the person is remodeling and they decided to want to get a door, I mean there are different styles of doors, different thickness,
Absolutely.
different. Believe me, they come in all shapes and sizes and all prices. I mean, if you decide you want a $20,000 door, my CRA shouldn't have to pay 50% of that. If you decide to get that quality, that highest quality of fixtures,
I don't know how.
my CRA shouldn't have to put. I mean, if we have lower, a lower equipment that would just serve the purpose, so that we can have, more fund available for other small, businesses. I mean, I would like to see something, in that nature be incorporated in there, because
So like establishing a kind of a baseline of improvement, but I guess
maybe
Or
equipment
a price per
Yeah.
square
standard
foot
versus
that
like
you won't go
or
over?
maybe if they decide to go for the high end, we only cover a lower percentage.
the standard one.
Yeah,
a standard.
we would cover the standard, and if they want to go higher, because I've seen. And
I'd like to, Alex, obviously this is your policy that you're making. I just need a little some time to figure out what kind of
How we reg-
language,
how
yeah,
we
how we write it
regulate.
into
Yeah.
to the policy. So maybe now, I don't know, like a baseline renovation, and then anything above that,
It's better to use the language standard.
a standard. But what standard is?
What standard?
Is it American toilets the standard and Easy Flow the?
we know
Chairman, sorry. It sounds like we're ramping up for the future.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And anything we approve right now is not unamendable in the future.
Absolutely
So
not.
if we
Correct.
It sounds to me like we're getting ready for the CRA to start actually doing something. The
Correct.
CRA funds are going to start coming off of Solomia. We're going to actually be in place to actually do something with that revenue. So you're ahead of the game in setting these procedures into place. If we don't like it, in the
Change it.
future, we want to change it, we can amend it, but these are at least some basic floor level parameters
Right.
by which we can operate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
So guys, yeah, if
No, I don't mind any
3
part.
years,
No, I
2
mean,
years,
I
3
want to
years
move
from now,
forward
we're
and
fine.
everything, but I think it's very simple to add, to come with a language,
Yeah,
just
well,
to
and we'll-
add that little piece of.
well,
I don't have the proper
yeah,
term. I'm sure the
the
attorney,
attorney would.
he could come with a language. I mean, if somebody decides, they want a $100,000 door, Miami CRA should not have to pay for it.
Yeah, and we don't
Yeah.
have to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We don't ever have to do anything we don't want to.
Correct.
As the CRA,
We
we
should
can
give
amend
staff,
anything. It's
staff
not like
some flexibility. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt you, board member. But maybe give staff some flexibility to, review the proposals and, perhaps line item things that they think are, more than they should be for that particular project. Because, we don't want people to basically spec something that's, very high end and then change it down the road and, I don't, who knows what happens with the
Yep.
money from the project at that point. I'm not saying that. But I think maybe staff have some flexibility built in to review the scopes of work and line item,
And to that point, and we can again,
Well,
we're amenable to putting that some kind of a standard, a standard renovation level or something of that nature. But keep in mind one thing: all the bids that we bring back to you, as we always have, you're going to see everything. We do put the bid documents in the legislation as you approve each grant, so you'll be able to definitely be able to ascertain, is there a $50,000 door in that bid package? Obviously, it's mine and Rasha's responsibilities to make sure we're reviewing that. But definitely we can add. We'll figure out some language to add standard.
All right.
I make a motion to approve these, new guidelines with the amendment made by Councilman Galvin for the,
Second to the motion for agenda item 2.
All right. I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve the item number 2. That motion was seconded by by Board Member Galvin to amend the grant amount to cap $3,750. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I would like to add
I'll withdraw my second for the purpose of further discussion.
I would like to add also the language of including the language of standard equipment as opposed to high-end, whatever.
What's that language? Staff, will you,
Mm.
somebody clarify for me, please, so I can make my second so we can move on?
I put down a note.
To encourage
standard
the applicant to use standard.
finishes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll second that
I'll amend.
amendment, second that motion for amendment. And then I'll throw back in my second for purposes of voting on this item.
I have a motion made by Board Member Keys to approve item number 2. That motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin to amend the grant amount to cap $3,750 with the language of flexibility to review the proposal. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item
didn't-
passes.
You didn't include, you didn't state the standard, to encourage the applicant to use standard.
Okay,
Standard
to
finishes.
encourage the applicant to use standard finishes on
Mm.
commercial grant.
Yes, there you go.
Sorry. Item passes 4-0. Item number 3.
Just, for the record, Board Member Desolme is joining the meeting at 6:20.
Guys gotta use that microphone, by the way.
Thank you.
Item number 3.
Mhm.
A resolution of the chairman and board member of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving funding the city's residential rehabilitation program in the amount not to exceed $700,000 for fiscal year 2016-2017 and providing an effective date.
This is part of the residential rehab program. As you recall, it is in our 2016 amended plan and also part of our 2016 interlocal agreement as benchmark to achieve by 2024 for us to rehab 70 very low and low income housing units. To remain efficient and effective, the CRA has opted to support the city's housing department, which has recently updated their guidelines and will be coming to the city council for approval in the near future.
Next meeting.
And staff, and the CDPD, the housing department is staffed to manage such program. The support is in the form of funding half a housing staff person's salary and providing $700,000 to rehabilitated these much-needed homes. These line items were in the approved CRA budget for fiscal year 16-17. Staff is recommending funding for this program with the following deliverables. All grantees must be within the CRA geographic boundary. All documentations outlined in the city's guidelines pertaining to applications, implementations, and pictures must be maintained in the software and made available to CRA
I
staff
don't
for
think I have a
review.
copy of that item.
I don't know what you're.
I don't have it.
This year.
I'll move to continue that item to our next meeting
Yeah,
so
'cause
that we
we
can
don't
have a
have it.
chance to provide that documentation to the
Yes.
council.
It's
Is
there.
there?
It's
Is
there.
there?
Which one?
Where
Yeah,
is it?
we just need to have tabs within
Yeah.
the, to have tabs, because
It
it's
got, I'm
confusing.
looking at mine,
It's
it
after
got,
which one?
it got
I
attached to
read
the,
it. Yeah.
it got attached to the back of the
The commercial guideline?
grand opening, reopening grant
Oh, okay.
program.
No, so they stuck together.
I'll
They-
withdraw my
together.
motion to continue if the board wants to consider this item. If there's confusion, I would just simply ask to continue it to the next meeting.
Mr. Manager, if we continue this, would this delay the CDBG?
No, no, because all we're doing is actually just sending the money to the city.
Okay.
So we're gonna move forward with the rehab guidelines, our housing guidelines on the city side,
Okay.
the next meeting anyways. This is just a matter of transferring money, so we can bring it back.
Motion to continue this until our June the 27th council meeting.
Second.
No, but we can
I have-
still go through it.
No, we don't have a, do we have a meeting on Tuesday?
You're right, we don't have a CRA meeting on that date.
We don't?
Guys, sloppy, I get really frustrated. If we don't have a copy of it, obviously, and there's confusion, we can't vote on it, so I move to
We don't
continue
have
this
it.
to
It's not here.
our next scheduled
What
CRA
do you-
meeting,
Yeah.
whenever that
We
might
don't
be.
have it.
I second the motion.
Well, it's,
All right,
yeah, but the seven, if I
Where is
understand,
it?
Mr. Mayor, this,
I don't have
that
it.
It's in
I-
here.
Oh,
I'll
this page
again
right here, this
withdraw
page?
my motion to continue if the commission wants to
Yeah.
consider the item. But from
Okay, it's right
everything
here.
I'm hearing from the two ears on both sides of my head, everybody's saying, where is this? What is this? I don't have
I
this.
found it, but I'll second your motion.
Well, I already did that.
Okay. Take a
All right.
vote.
do you have a deadline in your budget to spend that money by the end of the fiscal year?
We have it here, so let's
700,000
continue.
No,
Let's
no,
let's-
no, no,
let's
let me
let's
put on the
go over
record.
it, guys, and let's
You-
vote on. It's at the end of this, at the end of the TIF.
But we had that way before. We had that book
I will,
weeks,
It's at
I
the end
will
of this.
withdraw my
That-
motion to
If and
continue
if.
so that we might consider the item tonight. My motion is withdrawn to continue.
Go ahead.
Present it.
I'm sorry.
I don't even see.
You guys gotta step
It's at the end of
I was
this.
review.
Last couple of pages. No, here.
You guys, you put yellow, you don't put
Yeah.
your name and the
Yeah.
items.
That's it.
How do you know that's step 3?
That's what he showed me.
Okay,
Yeah, this is it.
residential okay, got it.
Mm.
Should I continue?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Should I continue?
Yeah.
Okay, I was in the deliverables, section. All grantees must be within the CRA geographic boundary. All documentation outlined in the city's guidelines pertain to applications, implementation, pictures, must be maintained in the neighborly grants management software and available for CRA staff review. Housing staff will provide annual reports and more frequent reports as needed to CRA staff to be included in the annual budget report and the annual report as required in the 2016 interlocal agreement. And the CRA logo and mission will be listed on all CRA funded projects to include construction signs, flyers, and collateral materials. Staff recommends approval. This item was also mentioned at the advisory committee at the June 5th meeting. This is just to transfer the $700,000 to the city's housing department, and they will be bringing you the new guidelines for you to approve at the next city council meeting.
All right,
Question?
go
So
ahead.
you're taking this money and you're putting it over with the city housing grants, but this 700,000 can only be used for CRA. If we have a lottery, how do we guarantee, or how do we divide it to make sure that this 700 goes to the CRA properties?
Via the addresses. We'll have, so as part of our eligibility process requirement, for our source of funds, we'll have to verify that the address is in the CRA.
So you're gonna divide it up, 700 CRA and like 500 for the city?
400,000, yeah.
In one lottery.
That's for,
So yes.
that's for
But-
discussion at the next meeting.
next one. We haven't decided guideline.
You have to decide
How we
that.
gonna spend the money already?
Yeah, but, well,
It's gonna come before us.
right, but we're gonna do a lottery for the whole thing, so you're
We
gonna.
didn't decide yet.
I thought we did.
The guideline is coming.
The guidelines are coming. All I,
But you haven't
the
decided how
requirement
we're gonna
simply is
disperse
that
the money.
we verify that the address of the property that we're rehabbing is in the CRA.
Okay. So there's gonna
For
be,
the additional 700.
For the 700,000 only, yes.
And the guidelines are coming
At the next city,
next council
city
meeting.
council
That's
meeting.
been-
Okay.
Even the one that was in the general fund, the 400,000, and that money, the guideline is coming.
Right, okay.
That's when there is no,
So we just,
we
so
haven't
when we do
decided
this
if it's
lottery, we just
lottery.
can't spend more than 700?
we haven't said if it's gonna do lottery. It's just your opinion,
That's my opinion.
yes.
sorry.
We
Okay.
haven't
So
put
it's
it
two
on-
different processes.
We will figure that
We-
out with you guys at the next meeting. You decide what the processes are.
Okay.
I should also
That's-
put on the I
Listen.
wanted to put on the record also that while this year, this is our recommendation from the budget that we give it to the housing, next year as the 10% that is attributable to housing grows, you can change. So you might want to, next year we might want to develop
Commercial,
another type of
multiple
program.
units,
Correct.
or single.
Commercial will be part of,
No,
No.
another housing type of
Okay.
initiative. Just,
Got it.
it doesn't have to solely go to
Single-family
single
residential.
family.
Single-family home.
It can go to multifamily,
First-time home buyer.
yeah, first time
All
home
right.
buyer, other programs.
So move. I move to accept the.
Second?
I have a motion made by Chairman Joseph to approve item number 3. That motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Item 4.
Item passes
Mm.
5-0. Item 4, Christian Academy des Petits Enfants Beautification and Enhancement Grant.
Please find attached in your package an enhancement grant request from Christian Academy des Petits Enfants located at 14150 West Dixie Highway. They had originally presented their application to the CRA Advisory Committee 2 months ago, but the applicant had withdrawn her application before we presented it to you because she wanted to include some other quotes that she was lacking. This is a complete application. Christian Academy des Petits Enfants is a Gold Seal accredited licensed childcare for 55 children. She presently has enrolled 25 children. She has 4 full-time employees and 1 part-time. She suffered from some water damage, and it has been hampering her ability to bring in additional children. The application is for interior and exterior paint, ceiling repairs, flooring, pavement repair, bathroom and kitchen repairs, and AC installation. They have provided 3 bids. The lowest bidded amount is $50,999. The violations on this property have been satisfied and all the permits have been closed out. So the total cost of the project is $50,999. Staff recommends approval of the $25,000.
Is the applicant here?
Yes, Ms. Francois is here. Once I'm done, I will introduce her. Grant request will improve the aesthetics along the West Dixie corridor and the establishment for the children it serves. This item was presented to the advisory committee for recommendation at the June 5th, and they voted unanimously to recommend approval. Ms. Francois is in the audience. If you
I'd
have
like
any
to see
additional
some pictures.
questions.
Excuse me. I would like to see some pictures. I mean, if we are going to rehab a property, I would like to see some. Huh? Where are they?
In the back.
In the back, towards the end.
Existing pictures.
Could I ask you a question, Rasha?
Yes, sir.
Is this the 50/50 grant that they applied for?
Well, because
More
the
toward
new
the
grant
end.
guidelines under
Mhm.
enhancement, it's up to 25 with 100%, but technically it would be 50/50 because she's covering the difference. It's a 50, the whole cost of the project is $50,999.
So this is a leased property,
The Christian Academy owns the property.
or they own it?
Yes.
Recommend approval.
Okay.
I'll make a second to the motion.
Go ahead.
Good evening. My
I'm
name is
sorry.
Mary
I'm sorry.
Francois.
I'm sorry. There is a motion and it is seconded. Can we do a roll call, please? Then she can speak afterwards.
I have a motion made by Board Member Keys to approve item number 4. That motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Madame Francois, you already approved. If you want, you may say a few words.
Just to say thank you very much for everything. I'm going to try to do the best that I can with what I have right now. Thank you very much. And maybe one day I can bring you some new
More pictures.
pictures and the children. Just thank you personally. All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.
And
Nail Bar of Chinatown Business Attraction Grant.
Please find attached a business attraction grant request from the Nail Bar of Chinatown located at 775 Northwest 119th Street, Unit 711. This Miss Brittany Morrison is the applicant. She owns a Liberty Tax Service at that current location. And since the tax business is very seasonal, she is relocating the tax service, Liberty Tax Service, to another location, is opening up a permanent nail bar at, it's at the YDB ShopRite if you're trying to visualize where it's going to go. The Nail Bar Chinatown will offer a full range of services that will cater to the community. They will hire 6 employees a year round and provide local internships for the 2 local beauty schools, which allow nail technicians to provide discount services to the community. She's requesting the grants to do the following scope of work: painting, plumbing, flooring, security system, an exhaust system installation. Total cost of construction for the lowest bid was $79,856.50, and the sign was $2,670. There are no violations on this property. The exterior of the property, YDB ShopRite, had received a facade grant from the City of North Miami through the Northwest 7th Avenue Commercial Rehab and June 1st, 2016 for $80,000. The exterior of the property will not be affected by this grant. This is solely for the interior of the grant. The total cost of the project is estimated at $82,526.50. Staff recommends approval of $41,263.50, which is 50% of the total grant cost of the project. The applicant is aware that she's responsible for the costs over the grant amount. This item was presented at the advisory committee at June 5th, and the board unanimously voted recommending approval. Ms. Brittany Morrison is also in the audience if you have any questions.
Yes.
Mr. Camo, these companies, they are not necessarily from a pool of companies that we use. They just get them from anywhere.
They choose their contractors. What we do is we vet them out to make sure that they are, licensed, that they have experience in working and doing those type of businesses. We make sure that the quotes are comparable. Like if somebody were to come up with like a $40,000 bid and then everybody else is at 80, then we reject that and ask them to get a proper bid. So, because sometimes the contractor will low bid it and come back with several change orders, as we've seen in the past. We check to make sure that they have experience in commercial rehab so that they know what they're doing.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Rasha. Where exactly is this location? Is it in the plaza?
Yeah, it's in the plaza, the
Which
YDB ShopRite.
Okay, that's the KFC plaza.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I know the owner, there was some issues there. How long is the lease? Hi.
I've had that location for 5 years. There isn't any problems at that location. And I have 2 5-year options.
Okay, so are you currently in the list right? In the
Yeah,
lease
I've had
right
it for 5 years. It's
Okay.
just, as you know, this is the gateway for Chinatown. This business is no longer viable for where it's located. So it will be locating
The tax.
The tax
the
business.
tax business. Yes, absolutely.
Got it.
So yes, I do have an option, a 5-year with a second 5-year option.
And she has pictures in the back, of course, with the
Where?
plans. Towards the end of the project, you will see the proposed design for this project.
Question? Just what type of protection does the CRA have? I'm glad to see that you've personally been there 5 years, but the company that is the new tenant is 1 month old. So we're giving money. Where's our protection that this is going to go? Or
Our protection in the situation where there's a tenant is, first of all, we review the lease, make sure it's for at least 3 or 5 years, depending upon the program. We get a certificate from the landlord, basically waiving their right to their landlord's lien, because we take a security interest in everything we provided the grant for. So in the event that there's a default, we can basically go in and repossess what we have paid for. And we also have restrictions in there with respect to transfers of the ownership interest in the entity, and that's also a default. So, you know, unlike where the property owner is the grantee, where we actually record something in the public records, which prevents them then from conveying title to the property without paying us back.
The landlord does?
No. In the case where we give the grant to an owner,
To
we
an owner,
record a
but- so this
memorandum.
isn't to the owner.
Right,
and-
so it's a tenant. So what we do is we get a security interest in
But,
all.
but there's no goods, this is all.
The
this
security
is-
interest is also in all other items, including inventory, bank accounts, other collateral that they may have, all personal property at the location. So it's not just what we give them money to install and pay for, but it's as if, and I know you're a real estate and banking attorney, so it's the standard sort of collateral assignment of all personal property and intangible personal property and accounts that a borrower would give in the situation where they got a loan.
So
And
it's,
we do get the landlord to waive their right to that lien, because the landlord has a lien, a statutory lien on that property, but we get them to waive that.
And they've done that in this?
Yes, in every
Yeah.
case.
So it's
It's a
similar.
condition to the grant.
So it's similar to Cafe Cream situation.
Or any other business.
Cafe
Captain
Creme,
Jim's.
Captain Jim's.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll mention Mocha Cafe.
Question for you, ma'am.
Sure.
How many, are you, well, I don't know how to ask this,
Just
but
ask.
can you please try to hire some North Miami?
Well, that
folks,
is the goal,
please?
and
That is the goal?
yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Okay.
It's also in the
I have a
guidelines.
question.
That's, awesome.
I have a
like
question.
that.
When you have a nail store, they usually rent the chairs. How are you gonna hire 6 people?
No.
No, they
This is a
don't
nail
have to.
bar,
What do you
and
mean
that
they-
system will
Well,
not
that's-
work.
They rent the chairs per week, like
Yeah,
a barber shop.
I'm familiar with that
Yeah,
system,
too.
but this will not operate
No.
such as that, no.
Do you have experience in
I have experience in business
nail, the nail?
and many different types of business, and that system is not something we're gonna apply to this nail bar,
And most of the
particularly.
money that you say we can get back, or for plumbing, how you gonna keep money for plumbing?
Like the attorney
event?
said, everything that's on the property, let's say the chairs, everything that's in the property, same thing we've done for all the other tenant-type businesses. Was it the certificate or the lien that you put on mentions every single thing that's inside?
Yeah, well, in the guidelines, it mentions that the business owner, it cannot sell the business within 2 years. That's what it says.
In our gut that you said that whoever's getting a grant need experience in that field. They said
Need
then
experience in business, in operating a business.
that's what your guidelines say?
Mhm.
Any other business?
Well, they
I wanna
have-
build a restaurant. I ask you money for a restaurant. I
But
don't
you
need
have to
experience
show
in
that,
restaurant.
the advisory committee interviewed her and spoke with her, and
I'm
we
not talking
talked.
about the advisory committee.
I'm
All
talking
the
about
guidelines
for
that you
her.
have for the commercial grants.
Mhm.
You did not specify they need to have experience in business.
Yes, but I'm not a nail
Experience in-
technician, nor will
I'm
I
talking
be
to her, ma'am.
doing nails.
She has experience in running and operating businesses, and that's what we based it on. If you don't think it's appropriate, then it is your choice, but we present to you the application based on our evaluation that she's operated other businesses successfully. She's actually moving the tax service that she has to another location. She's not closing it, she's continuing it. And she intends to hire the nail technicians from the school, beauty school right here on
Yeah,
125th Street.
yes.
So we've kind of vetted to make sure that it isn't appropriate.
Is it at the level of like Venetian spa or something like that?
No, it's a nail bar. Nail bar is a more modern concept. They're down in Midtown.
No, but not the Venetian one is.
Venetian is a franchise. Yes, I'm
it's a
very
nail bar,
familiar
yeah.
with it. We'll be using that luxury concept. A
Yeah.
nail bar concept is a long table, such as a bar.
Mhm.
Um,
Like champagne while you having your nail done.
yeah.
That's
It's
what
like
I'm
a
saying.
mimosa. Yeah.
Mimosa.
And the contractor, this is all she does. She specializes solely in nail salons. She just finished the extension of the nail salon here in North Miami, Nirvana. They just expanded. So,
Well, you better get that mimosa ready.
yeah, we're ready for
All right.
mimosa.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion made by Board Member Desormeaux to approve item number 5. That motion was seconded by Chairman Joseph. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1.
All set? All right, thank you,
That's
guys.
it. Thank you.
Item number 6.
The Descarga Brewing Company, located at 12355 Northeast 13th Avenue. They are requesting a business attraction grant, I apologize, to rehab an existing warehouse. They have leased 2,800 square feet from the warehouse, and they will be providing a brewery and tap experience, if you will. They are requesting their total contract, I apologize, my brain. They have submitted 3 bids from approved contractors. The lowest bidded amount for the construction is $62,540. They are requesting the additional cost, which is attached on a spreadsheet, to go towards the large equipment, which is the brewery barrel machinery, and towards the partial impact fee and towards the partial of the rent during the renovation. The total cost of the project is $235,106. The applicant is requesting waiver of 50% match requirement to $6337. As you know, this is part of the business attraction grant. When he made that request, I told him it was up to the board to decide that, since we had just done the new grant guidelines. This will bring a new business into the Arts and Entertainment District, which is by the train tracks. As you know, in 2007, the city had zoned that area as the Arts and Entertainment District. Descarga Brewery is one of the breweries from the NOMI Brewfest last year. They've received several awards, and most recently, last week, they had received 2 other awards. They have been at the MOCA, the Russian event, most recently as well, and they have also been working with the Hispanic Heritage Month to be showcased as one of the new businesses along the North Miami corridor. Mr. Manny Janis is here to speak on behalf of this request. We presented this item to the advisory committee June 5th, and they unanimously voted to recommend approval. Again, this is part of our effort to bring in those type of businesses into our North Miami corridor, to bring brewery. And I must say one thing I skipped on, and I apologize. The way they're setting it up, they will have seating for 60, but they will not be providing food. They will be making arrangements with local restaurants to provide delivery of food at the location, or with a food truck of some sort. This is the model that a lot of the breweries do in Wynwood, where they don't do the cooking themselves. They have the seating, they have the arrangements and the mood, if you will, but they make arrangements with local restaurants to provide the food. So that is, to me, was a very innovative way to create another business opportunity for our local existing restaurants that might be interested. Mr. Janis is here.
I'll move approval of the item.
Second.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to approve item number 6. That motion was seconded by Chairman Joseph. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
All right. Report from the attorney.
Thank
Do
you.
you have
Thank you
any
very much.
report? Executive Director?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to give you a quick update. On Monday, the city's third amendment to the CRA interlocal was heard by the county's housing committee, passed not unanimously but very quickly. Will be moved on to the full BCC. I'll find out in the next couple of days, but I expect it to be the next meeting, and thus we'll be able to meet the requirement, the July 1st requirement that was imposed by the county. So just want to give you that update.
Are you motion to adjourn?
But no, we have appointment, Chairman. Appointments, CRA.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you did at this meeting. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead. You told me to.
Mr. Chairman, on the topic of the Redevelopment Agency Advisory Committee, I'd like to motion to reappoint my 2 appointees, Clark Reynolds and Michael McDermott.
All right.
I have 2, Mr. Mayor, and I want to reappoint Marie-Estimée Irvin and Pastor Enoch Millien.
I thought Marie-Estimée was under mine.
It's yours?
Yeah.
Oh,
You can take her if you want.
Is-
You have,
Okay, let
you
me
have
reappoint-
Wobia, you have
Can I appoint,
Wobia.
Pastor Enoch Millian and Dr. Rudolph Moise?
That's mine too.
He was at large.
But I appointed him.
You wanna?
And then-
keep
But you
him
have
at large?
Wobia.
You wanna keep him at large
Well,
or a permanent member?
I plan to reappoint him, but you have Wobia as your, as the one that you had. District 3.
What do you have, Alex?
I'll reappoint Carol Geimer and also one at large, Blanca Cobo from District 4. Thank you.
And I would like to reappoint my two, Claudio Sanchez and Holly Cohen.
Okay, now I'll appoint Pastor Enoch Millian and Gary Aristide.
Okay. I'll keep Kenny each. Did you take Marie Estime?
You said you took. You said you
No,
wanted to
you.
take.
I mean, no.
You
see,
said that's yours.
I appointed her. It has my name, but if you want, you can appoint her. That's
That's
no
what I was
problem.
gonna do to allow you to.
Yeah, that's what I'm
to
saying.
appoint. That's what I
Yeah.
was gonna do. Okay, Marie Estime.
Marie
Evans,
Estime
Pastor
event.
Enoch Millian.
Okay.
How about this? Is it easier if we just make one singular motion to
Yeah.
reappoint the entire board as is?
No.
No, no,
You
no.
don't want?
They,
Okay.
they don't want it as.
All right.
Okay, but I want to keep Kenny each, Rudolph Moise, and who else did I appoint? But you want to take Mary
We
Estime.
have one more.
Who else?
Marie Estime and Pastor
No, Mary
Millian.
Estime, he's going to take it. He's
Right.
going to appoint her. But Hudson will be here. What about Hudson will be here? That
I
was
have
you.
two. I keep and Pastor Millian.
That's what I'm looking
So now you have 3.
I have two.
So, are we talking about keeping Councilman?
There's no board member. Right?
It
As of
sounds
right now,
like everybody's
There's no board
reappointing
members.
everybody. Right. There's nobody new coming on. There's nobody old going off. If I'm understanding what I'm
No.
Yeah,
hearing.
but we want to switch. We want to switch
it's
as
expired.
sponsor.
The list is expired.
list
So we're
expired.
reappointing
Just
everybody.
reappoint new people.
I'll have a name by next meeting, because I have one more, correct?
At large.
I have, no,
Yes,
because you took one of mine. You took Pastor
Yeah.
Million, so I
You
have
have
one
two.
more. Right? I have one more.
Yes.
Okay, so I have Kenny each, Dr. Rudolph Moise, and now it's 2. So I have a third one, but you have
Third one is the at large.
Hmm?
Maybe two regular, one at large.
Yes.
Anybody could nominate at large.
Yeah.
I think we've absolutely confused Gertie with our
Yeah.
ping-ponging around.
He's gotta appoint two
No.
So,
people.
Mr. Chairman, if I might have the
At
floor,
I-
let's do this one at a time, if we might, Mr. Chairman. I will just make a motion to,
adjourn this. Let's
re-
adjourn this.
if you
Let
want to
them
no
read
board next
redo the whole
month.
list, makes sense.
There's
but-
no board next month.
Let's do it next
expired.
week.
Yeah,
Oh, there
not
is no
everybody
meeting.
on here is, I'm
Everybody
under the
else-
assumption is being nominated.
I would, okay, I'll just do my two.
Yes.
I'll ask
Yeah.
that they be seconded and then
Okay.
voted on.
Okay.
I would
You-
like to reappoint Clark Reynolds and Michael McDermott to the CRA Advisory Board.
Second,
Second. Okay.
Okay, I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to reappoint Mr. Clark Reynolds and Michael McDermott.
with the second.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have, all in favor?
Aye.
All
Now,
opposed?
We do District 2 next?
Okay, 2, go ahead.
Okay, I reappoint Claudio Sanchez and Holly Cohen.
Okay.
Okay, I have a,
Second?
Second, well, third, fourth,
I have a motion made.
approved. Pass.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to approve.
No.
Keys.
Oh, Board Member Keys, I'm sorry. Board Member Keys to reappoint Claudio Sanchez and,
Holly Cohen.
I'm sorry.
Holly
And-
Cohen.
Oh, Hallie Cohen to, for a reappointment. I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, now I make the motion to appoint, to continue with Kenny each and Dr. Woody Moyes.
Second?
And my at-large, I will come up with it afterward.
Okay. I have a motion made by Chairman Joseph to reappoint Kenny Each and Woodruff Moise. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
And
I make a motion to appoint Pastor Enoch Millian and Marie Estime Event.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Bien-Aimé, by Board Member Bien-Aimé to reappoint Pastor Enoch Millien and Marie-Estime Irvin. Marie-Estime Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And
We'll do the
Councilman
at-large.
I would like
Designate.
to reappoint Blanca Cobo and Carol Geimer.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Desume to reappoint Blanca Cobo and
Carol Geimer.
Carol Glamner. That motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Item passes 5-0.
Okay, for at-large, I want to appoint Patrick Prophet. He's not here.
Okay. And I
I'll find out.
have a
And, he'll be
second?
interested. Yeah.
have a second.
You need an application, no?
Oh, he needs an application. Okay, I'll get him. I'll get him to bring an application. Yeah.
Okay. So withdrawn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second, third. Meeting's adjourned.